Hello and welcome to Bible Bites Daily. Today we have reached Leviticus chapter 14. In this chapter, we discover a profound message of cleansing and restoration, reminding us that even in our moments of brokenness, God offers a path for us to fulfill. In the verses 1 to 9, the chapter talks about the journey of the cleansed leper, picture of a person afflicted with leprosy, living on the outskirts of the community. Leviticus 14 unveils a process for their cleansing and reintegration into society. The ritual outlined signify not just physical cleansing, but a deeper restoration of their identity and dignity. In our lives, we may not face leprosy, but we all know the weight of brokenness. The journey of the cleansed leper teaches us that God is in the business of restoration. How might we, like the cleansed leper, experience God's restoration touch in our broken moments? Here we don't have to consider exclusively the disease itself, but there are situations where we were considered broken to ourselves because of the situations that we have faced, because of the troubles that we have faced. At that moment of trouble, did we reach God for restoring ourselves? That is the question that we need to ask each of ourselves. From verses 10 to 32, the chapter talks about the symbolism of sacrifices. This actually means what the sacrifices are meant for. As we dwell deeper, Leviticus chapter 14 introduces us to the symbolism of sacrifices: the birds, the cedar wood, the scarlet yarn, and the hyssop. These elements were not mere rituals, they carried profound meanings of purification and renewal. Consider the sacrifices in the context of our lives. What sacrifices might we need to make for cleansing and restoration? Perhaps it's letting go of bitterness, pride, or unhealthy habits. The symbolism reminds us that God's cleansing requires our willingness to surrender. So, in these older ancient chapters, there were mentioned a sacrifice, an offering for everything that needs to be ridden. Now, in our times, what we are looking at is sacrificing our bitterness, sacrificing our pride, and sacrificing the unhealthy habits that are taking us away from God. So, these lines typically mean that when we seek, cleansing and restoration from God, then we should be willing to sacrifice the bitterness in us. We should be willing to sacrifice the pride we hold, and we should be willing to sacrifice those unhealthy habits that are causing all this trouble for us. In verses 33 to 57, it talks about the restored home. The chapter concludes with insights into cleansing a house affected by leprosy. This echoes the theme of restoration, not just for individuals, but also of the places we inhabit. The rituals for the house signify that God's restoration extends beyond personal healing to our homes and communities. Apply this to your life. Is there an area of your home or community that needs God's cleansing? The message of Leviticus 14 is clear. God desires to restore not only individuals, but also the places where we dwell. It means the houses that we live in. It means our families. Embracing God's cleansing grace is important. As we reflect on Leviticus 14, let's distill the lessons into practical insights for our lives. So, what are those things that we need to remember and include in our journey? Recognition of brokenness. Just as the leper recognized their condition, we must acknowledge our brokenness before God. We must agree that we lack in this and we have a problem, we have this trouble. We have to take this trouble to God. And we have to, surrender ourselves. And then we will understand the journey of surrender. The rituals symbolize surrender and sacrifice. Surrender means keeping everything in front of God. And sacrifice means giving up what is not needed. What areas in our lives do we need to surrender for God's cleansing work? Restoration beyond self. God's restoration extends to our homes and communities, families, our relationships, our friendships, and our communities, and whatever relationship you might have with your friends, your people, your colleagues, or whatever, how might we be agents of God's cleansing grace in the places we inhabit? Inhabit is the places wherever we live. It may be your home, it may be your office, it may be a community, it may be your church. So we need to see God's restoration in places more than ourselves. Dear friends, as we conclude our exploration of Leviticus 14, let us carry these lessons into our daily lives. May we embrace the reality of God's cleansing and restoring grace, just as the leper's journey was a testimony of God's transformative power. Our lives can reflect the beauty of God's restoration. In our brokenness, may we find hope in God's cleansing touch. In our surrender, may we experience the joy of renewal. As we navigate the journey of life, may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be our constant champion, leading us from brokenness to a complete fulfilledness. May God cleansing and restoring grace be upon each one of us. Thank you for listening. May God bless you all in abundance.